Welcome to Podkey Fantasy Football, where draft prices meet the messy reality of weekly lineups. The player you love can still be a bad pick, and the player nobody talks about can quietly win a league. That gap usually comes down to price, format, and how fast you can adapt when the season starts moving. Fantasy value begins with acquisition cost. A first-round player who delivers first-round production may help you, while a boring round 11 player who becomes a weekly starter can create the larger profit. Before rankings even enter the conversation, check the league's scoring, lineup requirements, waiver setup, IR spots, playoffs, and platform ADP. Quarterback supply changes dramatically between a 10-team 1QB league and a 14-team Superflex league. The platform itself can create exploitable gaps. Justin Herbert being listed around pick 117 on ESPN and around 64 on Yahoo is a reminder that consensus rankings and the draft room are two separate markets. Mock drafts work best when they rehearse discomfort. Practice the room where a running back run starts early, your stack gets sniped, an elite tight end falls, or every quarterback you expected disappears. The useful lesson is the pivot, not recreating your favorite build 5 times. In an auction, that discipline gets even sharper. Nominate priority players early, know your number, and act when Kenneth Walker or another target comes in below it. When the price clears your limit, pivot quickly, because the remaining bargains rarely wait for the room to recover. Scarcity is a roster rule question. In Superflex, quarterback demand is real enough that Justin Herbert around picks 25 or 26 can make sense. Even there, Bijan Robinson at second overall can be defensible if elite running back production is harder to replace than the next available quarterback. At one quarterback, Josh Allen may deserve his own top tier, yet Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and Drake May offer similar ceiling cases at lower costs. The QB7 through QB15 range looks broad enough that patience often beats being the manager who reaches first. Joe Burrow has a strong value argument. QB3 in points per game across the past 2 seasons, despite limited rushing, paired with Cincinnati's aggressive passing identity and a healthy supporting cast. Dak Prescott also has a reliable late-round profile, with top 10 finishes in each of his last 4 fully healthy seasons. The pressure test is ceiling versus environment. Herbert has historically needed huge pass volume for his biggest fantasy outcomes, so a slower offensive structure could cap him. Matthew Stafford's recent touchdown profile also asks for caution. 11 scores from inside 2 yards is an outlier, and touchdown rate leaders historically regress. Rushing still changes the equation. Malik Willis averaged 58 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown per game in 3 Green Bay starts. The broader historical data supports the premise that quarterbacks who combine meaningful rushing with enough passing attempts frequently reach top 10 per game results. The uncertainty is role security, which is exactly why the price matters. Running back remains fragile, so an anchor or hero RB start has a practical appeal. Landing 2 of the top 12 to 14 backs in the first 3 picks can give a roster enough weekly stability to hunt volatility at receiver and on the bench. Kenneth Walker is the loudest value case. In 25 career games with at least 18 touches, he has averaged more than 18 fantasy points and 110 scrimmage yards. Kansas City offers a high win total setting and a possible 3-down role. His foot issue, injury history, high leverage competition, and uncertain receiving workload keep this from being a clean projection. Christian McCaffrey presents a different version of the same problem. 4 healthy seasons above 23.8 PPR points per game establish the elite ceiling. Age 30, huge career workload, soft tissue history, and preseason absence make a top 6 selection a conditional investment. Managers who draft him should take another running back early and preserve the ability to withstand a managed workload or missed time. Chase Brown has a sturdier role-based case after his late-season surge with Burrow, while Derrick Henry's touchdown and goal line volume still support his age-adjusted value. David Montgomery illustrates the opposite risk. Moving from Detroit's elite rushing context to Houston's weaker rushing offense leaves little room for volume loss when targets are limited. For late backs, ask a blunt question. Can this player become materially different after one injury or depth chart change? Blake Coram behind Kyron Williams fits that test. A routine 5-touch backup usually does not. Preseason box scores are weak evidence. Teams hide concepts, rotate unusual personnel, and often prioritize practice evaluation. Jamar Chase, Drake London, and A.J. Brown all had quiet preseason stretches that told us very little about their eventual ability. Repeated usage deserves more attention. Stribling's target and route production across multiple weeks is a real signal of opportunity. Though absent starters make the sample fragile, treat him as a contingent bench stash with a path, not a solved projection. Injury news requires the same discipline. A missed practice can reflect management, while a moderate or severe high ankle sprain can bring several missed weeks, reduced efficiency during the ramp-up, and meaningful re-injury risk. Credible medical reporting matters more than panic over every designation. Week 1 is the key redraft threshold. Players expected back by opening week or shortly after can remain viable at a discount. Murky availability deserves a larger discount because early losses count in a format with no long recovery runway. The draft creates a foundation, then injuries, trades, and role changes rewrite it. Rico Dowdle's 2 30-point games during Chuba Hubbard's absence show how a short-term opportunity can decide matchups even without producing a season-long star. Bench construction should reflect waiver depth. Shallow leagues reward ceiling swings, such as Jamison Williams, whose spike weeks can change a matchup. Deep leagues reward reliable routes, targets, and contingent starters because replacement options are thinner. When a quarterback run hits in a 1QB league, another receiver can provide surplus value and later trade currency. That choice works when the remaining quarterback tier is genuinely flat. It fails when roster settings or a collapsing tier create actual scarcity. Draft the range of outcomes, pay for the price you're getting, and leave room to react when the assumptions change. Thanks for listening to Podkey Fantasy Football. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.